Hey guys, in this video we are learning how to code multiple choice questions into the arrays, and this one has a really key example of it. You'll see why in a minute. So this is the worksheet, this is the array file. They're all set up already for the most part. We notice that the VAR is lowercase, there's an equal sign, and we have all of our colons. All of the important things are happening over here, right? And then if we scroll down, so this one is unfinished, recognize that, this array file. So there will be a few things that are not quite done, like the end of worksheet down here, but that's okay. But we do have this, multiple choice question, and over here it is just sort of written in sort of like regular plain text, but we're going to need to add a little bit to this. So the first thing that we need to do for every multiple choice question is add MC. MC is for multiple choice. It has to come before the question number, right? So it has to come before A41.5. It has to be the first thing on that line. It doesn't matter if it's bold or not bold. Totally irrelevant. It's just going to be interpreted by the computer and turned into something else. So we have this multiple choice question. We're going to add MC over here. We have our question number with a colon, and then we're going to have our entire question, right? And it goes through here. Oh, it looks like our L disappeared over here. So one of the key things also is we want to make sure that all of these L's, it wasn't done this way a bit, but all these L's are going to be italicized, because L is one of those letters that just looks exactly like a 1. And so it's way too confusing. Just a little bit of general intuition. So I'm going to, in order to italicize things, I need an underscore. I'm going to put my L and then another underscore. And there we go. In case I haven't mentioned this before, there does have to be a space before and after anything that you italicize, otherwise it will not work. So I know this is going to get real cranky about that, but that's okay, you just leave it. Right? So we've got a space before and after. We're going to have to do that for all these other L's in a second. But as we go along, so that's the end of our question, we're going to have 2 enters, right? Enter, enter. And then we're going to add in also our answer letters. Usually what I do for this is just turn everything bold, and then we've got star, parenthesis, A, parenthesis, star, right? I like to always have all of my answer letters bolded. This stuff is the stuff that's going to, be written out for the student inside of Slack. So you're going to want to make sure that it just looks nice, right? So we've got the question, we've got some spacing, and then we're going to have all of these answer options, and that's going to be real good. All right. So we have this. Because this is a multiple choice question, and only because it is a multiple choice question, we do have to do something for the absolute value bars, because you'll see later the absolute value bars are how we're going to create buttons for some of these things, right? So here we are going to, the way that we do it is we put an @ in front of every single absolute value bar. This one, I'm going to go ahead and copy this guy in order to put him over here. And as I mentioned, we are going to have to put a space, right? So I'm actually going to copy it with the space. So we have this one. We're going to need another @ and then here's our next thing. I'm going to go ahead and make there be a B. We're going to put our @ and then this guy gets replaced, right? So this is how we do it for all sorts of general things. Usually it's not super common that you'll have a, oh, I forgot to do one of those, didn't I? That's what I wanted. This @ symbol there, also @ symbol here. Let's go ahead and put in all the @ symbols. So, right, so it's not super common that you will have absolute value bars inside of a multiple choice question. It's actually relatively infrequent, as you might assume. But just be prepared for it. It does come up every once in a while. And here's my last one, right? So this is how it's going to look. It's going to have A, here's the answer for A. It's going to literally look like this, right? And then enter, and then B, and it's going to look like this. I know it doesn't seem like it's going to look like that, but it will. C, D, etc. Now we're going to get into the alert. Actually, we got to make the buttons first. So now we're going to use actual absolute value bars, actual vertical bars to make buttons. And this is how we do it, right? So vertical bar starts the buttons. A is going to be the text that is featured inside of the button, right? And that ends the button. And then whatever comes after this is going to be the response to that, right? So we can see for this one, you know, the answer is C, right? So everything else is going to be wrong. And we're just going to say, well, let's say explain, right? That's going to be our response for all of these ones. So then we're going to have B is going to be what the next button says. And when the student clicks on it, it's also going to say explain. And then C is what the next button is going to say. And when the student clicks on that one, it's just going to say yes, next, because that one's correct. Typing Y, NEXT is going to send the next question. So it'll automatically move the student along, which is really cool. And that one, and we're going to have D as our next button, right? It's going to say D, and then when the student, if the student clicks on it, it's going to say explain with an exclamation point, right? At that point, I consider that finished. For multiple choice questions in particular, I will always put the alert on the next line. This one's going to be a little weird, but I just don't want it to be up here because every once in a while we will have entire write-ups, like the entire response to A is another question with a separate answer. And so I don't want this main alert for this question to conflict with any of the individual questions and answers for that are responding to the different letters that they can pick. This one's fairly simple, but some will get more complicated. And then just down here for the alert itself, usually what I'll do instead of this is I will put answer is C. And that's pretty much it. Every once in a while, if there's additional information that the instructor needs to know, I'll add that in there. But basically what you're going to see as the instructor is it'll come up, you know, bold A41.5 colon, right? It'll have this whole question and then spaced out and all nice. It's going to have all of these answer choices, right? So you'll see all this stuff inside of Slack. That's what it's going to look like. And then you will see 4 buttons, A, B, C, D. After that, so like none of the rest of the stuff is going to show up until after the student clicks A button. So this is going to show up in private, this alert, and it's going to tell you the answer is C. Just so that you kind of have an idea of what to look for and that sort of thing. So, that being said, let's get into an example. Let me see. Let's go to my channel. And one question that I know definitely has one is R2M.1. Right, so this is what it looks like. Yeah, it's got the question, it had the not question number, the entire question written out, all of the answer choices, and this one's a reading question. And then it just has these buttons, A, B, C, D, E, right? And the student can pick whichever button they like. Technically, you can also pick buttons, right? So if you are going through doing training, you can pick one yourself, and it will give you the correct response. And then there is also, so this is the alert sort of discussion here. This should actually include, you know, what the answer is, but, you know, that's okay. Most of us actually know it because we do these questions in particular so often, and you will know them too. So, let's say that, so C is the correct answer if we pick like a B, for example. Here's sort of walking you through this. It has this thought, right? It's got the, you know, question, the answer letter and its contents, right? So a lot of times this stuff will take up a lot of space and you might lose the original question. So this is just retyped for you. A bit of, you know, fun there. And then it just says explain your reasoning. This alert is just, it's telling you, you know, look for what the student is thinking, right? Sometimes the student is thinking something that makes sense. Sometimes the student is not. That's okay. But we want to really know that, right? And if the student is just, I mean, like totally bonkers bananas, right? It's probably because they're like maybe stressed out, maybe they haven't eaten, like, or they have some fundamental underlying flaw in their logic, right? So both of those things are equally important for us to know. But as you know, you can go to next hint. So I'm going to do next hint, right? It looks like this one went into the thoughts for A. So apparently there were no more hints for B. But that's kind of the basic idea, right? That's what we've got going on over there. Any questions about that? Let us know.